Happy Wednesday, Unwoke Nation, and I'd like to welcome you to episode 9 of the Unwoke Show, where free speech is welcome, all subjects are on the table, and your boys bring weekly topics raw and uncut every Wednesday night for your enjoyment, baby. Hey, this is your co-host, Rich, along with my brother from another mother, Big Tim. How you doing, man?
Good evening, Rich. Good evening, Unwoke Nation. So glad you could join us again for another fantastic topic tonight. Tonight we are talking about, is it time to cancel culture?
Yes, great topic, man. This is one that, I'm sure a lot of you listeners out there have been just really seeing everywhere you go, probably even in your daily life, or just seeing, just little things or just going on and just in society, and you just kind of make yourself go.
Yeah, no kidding. So before we jump on that topic tonight on Woke Nation, we would love to hear from you. You can reach us at feedback@unwoketheshow.com. Again, that is feedback@unwoketheshow.com. We want to hear your comments, your feedback, show ideas. If you think we're on point, if we're off point, if we're just fucking nuts, we want to hear from you.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. I mean, like I said, we do this show because we enjoy it, but we do the show for you guys. We know there's people out there who have many different opinions but that's what Unwoke Nation is all about, being able to share that opinion, and so we'd love to be able to hear from you guys. Again, guys, we're so happy to do this show, and also, as and we had said last week or so, we are now nationwide. And we are totally excited about that. So definitely, guys, make sure to tell other people. If you like this show, tell other people about this show. We'll be able to tune in every Wednesday night and hearing what's been going on, the topics of the day and everything. So if you know people out there that love it, definitely share this and all. And we hope you guys will continue to tune in, and we want to get to all 50 states.
Absolutely. We want to thank the states that have tuned in to listen to us already. Thank you so much for your support. And we just look forward to continue doing these shows and growing and connecting with the Unwoke Nation.
Absolutely.
All right. So tonight, again, is the topic, is it time to cancel culture? And so, Rich, I thought I'd go in with first providing a definition of what cancel culture is.
Ready, go!
So the term cancel culture refers to a practice of withdrawing support for individuals or organizations after they have been accused of objectionable behavior. Right? This can include anything from boycotting a person or company's products to refusing to work with them. It often takes the form of public shaming, and its proponents typically argue that it's a necessary response to moral failings.
And the definition of moral failings is what?
That could be the left or the right.
Yeah, I mean,
so let's go ahead and define, because this often, cancel culture even plays into our own political system, right? Whether you're on the right or on the left.
That's true.
So I thought if you fall into the left camp, you're about income equality, higher tax rates on the wealthy, government spending on social programs and infrastructure, and strong regulations on business. If you fall into the right, you're about lower taxes, less regulation on business, reduce government spending, and a balanced budget.
Okay, so what we've learned, and probably in addition to some of the things like we were covering last week in there with the situation with reparations, and obviously dealing with a lot of racial and social issues that are going on in the world. So you could probably add that, not just for the left and the right, but just add it in general, just for the social, you could say the quote, social justice movement that's been going on, and seeing how, if you are a person that might speak against any of the things you just named, but in addition to the situations going on with the social justice movement, and also you potentially could get canceled, fired. I think you and we had talked before the show in regards to, it was a couple years back, with the Disney show The Mandalorian and the former MMA fighter.
Oh, Gina Carano.
Yeah, Gina Carano. She ended up saying something which, she
got canceled.
Yeah, she sure did. I mean, and the thing about it, guys, Woke Nation, if you didn't watch the show, she was a key player on that show in the first season, I think it was.
She was in the first season, and I can't remember if she was briefly in the second or not, that I have to go back and watch.
Right.
But her character itself, she was a shock trooper for the Republic, and she turned out to be a pretty popular characters. Obviously, the Mandalorian being the most popular, and Grogu, Baby Yoda. For those of you who don't know,
Stop touching things.
yeah, is very popular as well. But her character itself was incredibly popular. I liked her. I thought she brought a different dynamic to the show.
Absolutely.
But we talk about Gina Carino. I'm going to throw out an example to you and to the Unwoke Nation. J.K. Rowling.
Yeah.
She's the famed Harry Potter author.
Gryffindor.
Exactly. Many have accused her of her transphobia and bigotry due to her comments on transgender rights and gender identity.
Really?
Yeah. So just to provide a little background on her, in 2020, she had sparked an outrage with an essay in which she asserted that sex is real and criticized people for replacing the phrase woman with people who menstruate. The new phrase is used to differentiate between trans women and people born biologically women. Her comments led to many of her calls to be canceled, with many people vowing to never read her books again.
Couple billion later, but all right.
Yeah, the movies did real well. How about Chris Harrison, who was the host of The Bachelor for 20 seasons from 2002 to 2021. He was eventually pushed out after defending a former contestant when photos came out of her attending an Old South antebellum
Oh, I remember
party.
that story. Yeah.
The party could be seen as celebrating the Confederate South and embracing cultural appropriation.
Wasn't she dating a black guy?
I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
And I mean, I think she went on some total, apology tour and did all this other stuff going on. And yeah, wow.
In 2021, when the images were released, Harrison responded, "Is it a good look in 2018 or is it not a good look in 2021? Because there's a big difference." He later lost his job for defending those photos.
Wait, I'm a little confused from there. I'm really, really confused. It's like,
the contestant went to an antebellum party celebrating
Right.
the Confederate South.
I remember the picture. She
yeah,
standing
yeah.
in front of the big plantation house by the tree. Yeah, it went viral.
Exactly.
I remember that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I personally don't see any issue with that. It's the party. It's the South. Who gives a shit?
Mm-hmm.
But he being Chris Harris, ran to defend this contestant in those photos, and which is ultimately what got him canceled off The Bachelor.
Right. Okay. There's a couple other examples too, because I know you use several examples of people who are white and everything like that. So, but we also look at this situation like, if I recall, it was about a year ago. I think it was like with Sage Steele. She was the reporter that's on ESPN.
Yep.
And I think she went on some show, and basically I think was speaking against, a lot of the things that were going on, or I guess she comes from a military family and all this other stuff. And I guess she got the idea to go on to The View, and also, which unfortunately has a tendency to be extremely left-leaning. And again, like I say, guys, it's not to be a political situation. It's just the fact that, it was obviously a well-known show that was going to be completely, basically going to, roast her
Right.
on national television.
Which is stupid.
It's like, yeah, it's just one of those things like what were you thinking by
by
going on there? And I think they ended up suspending her from ESPN for a bit. I think she's back on now, but
right.
She got cancel culture.
So Joe Rogan, the host of the Joe Rogan Experience podcast,
Yep.
right, an MMA announcer. If I don't know if you remember this or not, but Joe Rogan had a stance on vaccination, where he was pretty much seen as an anti-vax, which he says he denies. Which ultimately led some musicians to boycott Spotify, the company that hosts his podcast, because he got paid like over $100 million to come and join Spotify, and
probably one of the largest podcast contracts ever.
Yeah, for the Joe Rogan Experience. And the most prominent boycotters were Neil Young and Joni Mitchell, two artists whose heyday was back when musical activism was at its high. I'm going to let that sink in for a minute.
Wait. Let me get this straight. You trying to tell me you have performers who are so angry about this, who basically are like on the B celebrity list or the C celebrity list?
Are they even on the list that you would call?
Yeah, that's a good point. It's like, oh my God.
I mean, come on now. Neil Young is a member of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but is he really on the list?
Relevant like now, which is the point.
Exactly.
It's like, yeah, I mean, it's like, no, come on, man. No, nobody cares. It's like, you know.
So I think I applaud Spotify, right? Because they did not cave to pressure to drop Rogan.
Mm-hmm.
But I think to find the middle ground here, they did roll out disclaimers on some of the episodes and removed others where he used racist language.
In fact, they went as far, if I understand the story correct, and correct me if I'm wrong, Tim, but I mean, they went as far as, I mean, they did some major digging. I mean, the people, you hear that term, the word trolls, and you're seeing these people where, I mean, they are completely going out of their way, to find something. All right, let's use another example. And also, famous comedian Kevin Hart. It's interesting how, I mean, literally, I think he was weeks prior to actually be the host, I think, of the Oscars.
Yep.
And some group of whoever it was, these trolls went out there and dug up something I think he wrote on Twitter 7 years prior.
Yeah, and we had seen a rash of that. Wasn't there a congresswoman or a woman who was just coming into office who had made some sort of racial remark, and she ended up, was this last year or the year before, where she ended up giving up her office,
right,
or her or her seat? Because it was, they had dug into to the person's past, and
right.
I think they were in maybe like their 20s, and they had maybe I thought I was something to the effect of making a racial comment, and you said this racist thing back then, all of a sudden, and then caving to this practice of cancel culture. And then Kevin Hart said cancel culture almost ruined his career.
Yeah. Because there was a documentary that I think Kevin Hart had did, and that's how I learned about the story.
Right. And
he mentioned that at work. I guess apparently somebody had dug up something he said on Twitter. I think dealing with, with the gay community or whatever it was, or something in regards to a family member. And I guess as soon as it was put out there, it went viral. I guess they ended up calling him up saying, he's like, well, hey, look, it's like, it turns out where this has come up to our attention. We would like for you to apologize and stuff like that. And I guess, and he stood his ground. He says, I'm not apologizing for this.
Right.
For something that I did, almost a decade ago, or whatever. And they were like, if you can't apologize,
you're a comedian, though. There's nothing,
exactly.
There's nothing out of bounds. That's part of being a comedian. You're not saying it in some sort of spiteful manner.
No.
You're wrapping humor around it. So it's... To dig that far back and then to expect somebody to apologize for that is complete bullshit.
And I think, and just to kind of go more on what you just got done saying, and I'm sure for a lot of you guys out there in Unwoke Nation, where if you happen to be a comedian, think about what comedians have to go through. I have heard so many comedians, from Adam Carolla and some other ones, where sit there and they're saying like
Dave Chappelle.
Dave Chappelle. I mean, it's like, I'm sure other legendary people like that saying like, we don't know what to make jokes about right now.
Right.
And I mean, think about it. You got some people out there, whether it's Carlos Mencia or Lisa Lampanelli and they're like that, who basically built their entire shtick on basically making fun of race and stuff like that. So they would be reamed nowadays. And they were at the top of their game, what would you say, like 15, 20 something years ago?
Oh, easily.
It's like, people were piling into comedy shows to hear them. They knew what type of content they put out. But they all knew it was a joke. But you put those type of people out there. So now, and like I said, guys, we'd love to hear from you guys. If you're a comedian that's part of the Unwoke Nation, definitely, tell us what you've been going through when it comes to add feedback at unwoketheshow.com. We'd love to hear what you guys think about all this and all, because we know comedians are definitely getting shot for this, figuratively. But you get my point, because you can't come up with proper content And what I was going, if I make a joke this way, it'll make fun of this person. But if I go this way, it might make fun of this person. And all of a sudden, you're just standing up there, twiddling your thumb, sitting on a stool.
Yeah, exactly.
It's crazy.
I mean, that'd be like asking Richard Pryor to apologize, or Eddie Murphy during his days. Yeah, with Eddie Murphy Raw and stuff.
Red
right?
Fox in there, you're like, get the fuck out.
Exactly. So here's another great example of where cancel culture, the insanity of this concept, and the fact we're even talking about this, right? Did you ever watch Roseanne as a kid?
Yep.
Yeah, great show. My wife.
Oh gosh,
we watch the reruns now.
What was it like? Wednesday at 7 o'clock, or like that was a prime show.
So they did a reboot of that show back in 2018, and so it was a huge success with over 18 million viewers turning in to the premiere episode. And this is the
wow.
This is back in 2018 when they did the Roseanne reboot, right?
Right.
So apparently, after a few months after the show's return, Barr was fired from her own show after she made a racist remark on Twitter. Barr had been a vocal supporter of Donald Trump, and many felt that a remark she made about Valerie Jarrett, a former advisor to President Obama, was racially charged. ABC quickly jumped all over that and canceled her.
Yeah. I think they went even as far as they changed the name of the show, didn't they?
Yeah, it went even that far to change it.
Mm-hmm. Wow. And I think I'm sure she went on her apology tour as well and stuff. So, and I personally, it seems like, I haven't heard from Roseanne Barr in any aspect since that time. I mean, my question, does she, the concept of the show itself, does she still make money from it? Or, how deep did that rabbit hole go?
That's a good question. I don't know, because that all went pretty hush-hush pretty fast.
Right.
The last example I give, and I think this speaks to the utter lunacy and stupidity of cancel culture. When you were growing up as a kid, did you ever read Dr. Seuss books?
Yep.
So
had practically the whole collection.
Yeah. So in March of 2021, Dr. Seuss Enterprises decided to discontinue publishing 6 Seuss books due to perceived racism within the books and the images. I'm going to let that sink in for just a second.
Huh?
Perceived racism?
Within the books and images.
What are we saying? Are we saying because we look at the Cat in the Hat and what does that make fun of?
The Lorax.
Yeah, the Lorax. It's like he's orange. What's the problem? I don't get where we're going with that. So, but it made me think of a story.
So, conservative media, Fox News, take that for what you want, right? They were highly critical of the move, calling it an example of virtue signaling, which I would agree.
Yeah.
And cancel culture, pushing out beloved parts of American culture. Now, that part I completely agree with. Because it's not the cat. It's not just the Cat in the Hat. It's not just the Lorax, right? It's not just the Grinch, right? It's these beloved children books that are just, it's one of those things as a kid. It's just the joy of just reading it.
Right.
And the rhyming and the context and everything. And it at no point, even if I were to go back and look at a Dr. Seuss book now and be like, oh, that's got racial undertones. Oh, that's racist. That could be racist. I don't want my kids reading that, right?
You weren't thinking that. And also,
exactly.
I had a conversation with this with my mom probably sometime last year and she brought up a good point. She says, Ricky, you know what? It's the parents. It's the adults that are coming up with this crap. They are putting it at the forefront of, oh, that's being racist. Where you just said yourself, it's kind of like, wait a minute, when I was reading the Dr. Seuss book, at no point did I think something was racist or anything like that, where it's like, she's,
and she enjoying the story.
Exactly. She made a good point. Yeah, you said you're enjoying the rhyming and the colors and all the different things and what the characters did in the book. And so it would go from character be doing some action that would flip over onto the next page. And, it was very well put together. And also, I have a friend who has a daughter, and very, very avid reader. And I remember one time I was having me visit and talk with them, and they were reading one of the Dr. Seuss books. And I think it was something, I think it was like a story about, where it was like a traveler or something like that. And so I was talking to him. I said, what you reading? She was telling me what the book was and all. And but the unique part about that conversation I had was she says, well, yeah, it's like the thing is that, people are telling me that this particular book, and this probably was around the time where that you were suggesting, that, that she was saying, like, people are saying the word, this book is racist. And she's like, I just think that's ridiculous, where it just doesn't make any sense, where I don't see anything that's racist under it. Now, wait for it right here, Unwoke Nation. Would you like to know how old her daughter was?
Early teens?
11. She was 11.
11.
And thought this was absolutely fucking ridiculous. And the kid reads like it's going out of style. And I was so impressed by when I was going like, and that's like, how old are you? 11? She might have been 10, but yeah, 10 or 11.
And she's already saying this is just fucking nuts.
Exactly. I think I want to listen to a 10 or 11-year-old girl, which is the audience of this book.
Right.
That could sit there and say, literally, prior to people telling her that it has some type of racial connotations to it, it was a book with a story. And that's all she saw. So this is what it makes me go back to what my mom was saying, and she remember buying me some of these books and stuff like that. And she says, like, it's the adults that are coming up with this. They're trying to infuse this whole thing of that, everything's racist this and racist that. And also, let's go one step further now, even when it comes to cancel culture. Now, we realize where we have a lot of the video games nowadays where they have different type of ratings like they do on movies and stuff like that.
Right.
Tim, let me ask you this. Do you ever remember that video game from the original Nintendo? No, that was called Operation Wolf.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so,
Love that game.
Yeah, for those of you guys who are youngsters right now, so this was a game and everything where basically you were the soldier and the screen was moving from left to right and everything. And your job was basically to shoot the enemy, and if you shot certain things, it might give you like a grenade or something like that.
Right, yep.
So you had all that stuff. It was one of my favorite games who were growing up as a kid. But now I talk to people when I tell them this story, and they were like, the way that we have games being violent and all this other stuff. Now, granted, we understand that there's been an upgrade in the technology and the bits and stuff like that of what games are.
Yeah, they've evolved for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, games look tremendously real. And but my question is that I was making towards a person when we had this discussion is I let them know, it's like, okay, you're trying to say, well, a lot of video games are what's making people violent nowadays. Wait a minute. When I was 11 and I was playing Operation Wolf, I knew it was a game. At no point did I ever want to go out there and shoot. I was not sitting up there playing Mega Man 3, hoping that I could actually go out there and actually want to shoot somebody. Or when I was playing Contra or any of those games where that are going on, or where I know that's real old school to a lot of you guys who are listening right now, but just hear me out. So, I wasn't thinking about those type of things were. So heck, I was thinking about, when it's 11:30 come around so I can go out with my friends and play baseball.
Exactly.
So, and even then I didn't want to hit anybody with a bat.
No.
so it's just like, I just don't understand where this comes from. And so now they want to say, we want to cancel all these different things. It's like, okay, adults, you're the ones who are putting this in these kids' minds. You're the ones who are doing this. You need to stop it. That's why cancel culture, it's got to stop.
So, well, I completely agree. It's got to stop. And really what it is cancel culture is really accountability in a different form. But what I don't understand is, who are we trying to hold accountable?
Right.
I mean, who's the accountability problem? Who's
the board of directors that decides what should be canceled and what doesn't?
I mean, if your son or daughter, if you walked into the room, they had a Nintendo and they were playing Contra or Super Contra right now, and you all of a sudden deemed that just a absolutely violent and gory game, all of a sudden, are you just going to start blasting Nintendo?
Right.
And at what point did that thought even come into your mind? And I would even question the parent. You bought them the game.
You sure did. I don't know too many 9-year-olds that are coming up with $60-something, and that's probably on the cheap side, who are coming $60-something, sit there and say like, hey, Mom, deuces, I'm going down to GameStop.
Yeah, can you take me to GameStop? I got my allowance. I want to get Super Contra. It just came out.
Right. Exactly. And I would think, like I said, because Tim, you're a parent, so, if you have your little girls who they want to go out there and get a game, I would think that, sort of looking at a certain game, you're going to go, okay, I see this game. As a parent, you think maybe you might want to, I don't know, parent and actually figure out what is my kid about to play?
Well, I'm absolutely going to look at the game and be like, I don't think we're at the age quite yet where you're ready for this type of content. Now, does that mean they won't go over to their friends if their friends have it and play it there and I don't know about it?
Yeah, because we did.
Oh, yeah. Well, duh. Right? But then you find out, I played it over at Billy's house. He has it. Are you going to go over to Billy's parents and say, hey, when my son is over here, I would appreciate if you guys didn't play. I don't want him. I don't know too many parents that did. And I'm pretty sure Billy's not going to brag to his parents that, Mom, I got to play this awesome Super Contra game over at Tommy's house.
Right.
No, you're going to keep that shit on.
Exactly. You're going to keep that on the DL.
So I just don't understand who cancel culture, who they're trying to hold accountable other than themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Right.
But they want to blame somebody for not even a terrible situation, just for something stupid because you all of a sudden got upset over it, right? I mean, I don't get that. It doesn't, none of that logic and none of that thinking even remotely registers with me. And I think it gets it back to oversensitive parents.
Yeah.
And those parents being oversensitive, right? It's almost like a 2-generational thing.
Right.
Right there of just wound up, like I said, oversensitive.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you can't go out unless you've got a hazmat suit on because of all the horrible pathogens and stuff that are out there in the world. I don't want you getting sick type of thing, right?
Exactly. I mean, it's like we're sitting up there, we're raising all these beta simps or something like that.
Yeah,
like,
we're raising a group of hypochondriacs.
Right, exactly.
No, it doesn't work. And so it was pretty interesting. If you go to YouTube and you type in cancel culture, the amount of videos on the subject.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously it's YouTube, number one, so there's going to be a lot of content. But you got people like Trevor Noah talking about it. You've got Dave Chappelle talking about it. TED Talk has done several videos on cancel culture.
Wow.
And one of the videos, it's called Cancel Culture, The Decline and Disconnect Within Society.
Cancel culture, the decline and disconnect the society. In what way?
It's taken from the standpoint of social media.
Okay.
And how information is readily available at our fingertips today, right?
Sure, right.
And you're looking at a posting of something that somebody has said, and it doesn't agree with your moral compass, or it doesn't agree with your thoughts, and you instantly fire off a response.
Mm-hmm.
Now that response is out on the internet. It's incredibly difficult to take down, right? So now, let's say you're calling a boycott for something because of you don't agree with what this one person is saying, right?
Yeah.
It's pretty much, Rich, you believe in A, I believe in B. I'm just going to get fired up about it and try to tell you how A is wrong and cancel you in any way, shape, or form, or essentially I'm going to try and hold you accountable and saying A is wrong and you shouldn't be thinking that way, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, that's really what the gist of this talk is. And so at the end, she recommends people take this approach of first look, review, and then decide, is it really worth responding to?
My question is, what happened to us being able to agree to disagree?
Oh, are you kidding me? That concept doesn't exist anymore.
I mean, it's like, yeah, but the fact that it's like, why? It's like, you can sit there and have people, like, so I have all types of friends, I'm sure you do as well. Just people, whether it might be for whatever topic it might be, that, you know, we might agree to disagree and stuff like that. But for some reason, where in the recent history that we have, and also it's we're having it where if you completely disagree with something, that it's like, okay, you don't want to talk to that person, you're going to unfriend them on Facebook and all this other stuff. And it's kind of like, come on, it's like, grow up a little bit. It's like, yeah, I'm sorry, not everybody's going to like it. It's like that. You like red, I like blue. That doesn't make you bad. It's like, that's just, you know, I can deal with that.
It's about rallying people to your cause.
Exactly.
Right? That's what social media, the borders of...
Is that what it's called? Like social justice warriors or something like that?
I mean, you could almost call it something like
that.
But,
yeah.
But social media itself, how it's broken down geographical borders.
Yeah.
And so now you're getting people all over the place that you're trying to rally behind you and your point because you think you're right. But then what they don't think about is, while they may be attacking this person on this discussion topic, there could be a whole nother group somewhere out there that can then all of a sudden fire back at, you know, at that person who's trying to essentially either cancel that individual or hold them accountable, which is really what cancel culture is. And so it just, to me, it just looks like bitching in all forms.
Yeah, I just don't get that. It's, you know, this seems like, you know, you have these narratives that are putting together, and because you're seeing this, it's like they enjoy, it's the cancel culture mafia. It's like they're enjoying the fact that, you know, okay, we know, and matter of fact, it was something we have not actually tackled just yet on the show, is that corporate America, you know, looking at corporate America,
biggest offenders.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's like corporate America. I mean, they are, you know, they sit there and they say one little inkling wrong, and I mean, people are really ready for them to lose millions, and they do it just
Bud Light, Budweiser.
Oh yeah, the recent situation where you know
we covered in a previous podcast,
right?
But again, that applies here for sure.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, $6 billion where it's gone where because of a decision that was made. I mean, even like we said in the last couple episodes back, and I mean, I guess the vice president of marketing, where he ended up stepping away.
Yeah, the two of them. There were two people that higher ups that got fired over.
Right, exactly. You know, so for whatever reason, and it's like, and that's, I mean, that's really, really shocking. Where that, you know, now corporate America has to sit there and practically walk on thin ice to even run their businesses. You know, so I mean, that's just crazy. And also, and whether you're for or against or wherever it's like that, it's like, you know, but it's just the fact, business in general, when they feel that they can't say something that they want to say, and that you have, you know, your cultures out there when they're trying to use all the social medias of Twitter and whatnot, it's like, you know, it just doesn't make any sense where, you know,
it's like a woke bias. Let's just put it that way, right?
What are they calling it? Woke capitalism?
Yeah. Woke, which woke capital, I didn't know that woke capitalism.
Yeah.
I thought it was just capitalism.
Well, and really what that means, listeners, is that, you know, it seems that you have woke capitalism is just all these companies out there, because they don't want to, quote, get canceled.
Right.
They're willing to, like, they're sitting around where in their board of directors and all, figuring like, okay, what stuff can we put in our company just to make sure that we're not liked and that we're part of the whatever popular thing or narrative or whatever case may be. And then now they're trying to scratch their little heads to figure out what they want to do. And it's just kind of like, okay, can you just be you?
Wasn't somebody earlier tonight telling us about that whole woke concept as around the hiring and stuff? I thought,
yeah. So
having in that fear of being, you know, canceled within your woke capitalist environment.
Yeah. And so they were actually telling us about it, where so they work in a pretty big medical industry, and they were explaining about how there's a situation going on where it was more, and just kind of get to the long short of it, it was more about they're trying to figure out how they can find people who can help patients that are more nice, or if you want to call, the whole bedside, was it
bedside manner?
Yeah, bedside manner, and also, but that was considered to be of more importance than actually how well that person was skilled to help their patients.
And I think it was trying to drive some sort of diversity thing as well too.
Exactly. It's like, how do we find nice people who are diverse and stuff like that, but we're not going to judge them if they can do a particular operation or procedure and stuff like that. It's just that, hey, can you be nice to Tim? And you happen to be a minority, so we'll just hire you on that base. I know. So basically what we're trying to do, are we trying to do a new version of like medical affirmative action just to be nice? And the person who talked to, he made a really good point in there. So like, looking at things in this way, that kills people.
Right. And in fears of this whole cancel culture movement or whatever.
Right.
In this whole fear of accountability, in that situation, I think you want to be accountable. Let's call accountability what it is.
Exactly.
Not this whole cancel culture bullshit.
Right. Exactly. And in this particular situation where it's like, you're trying to be, the whole social justice or whatever case may be, at the expense of a patient that truly needs a skilled person to remedy whatever's wrong with them. Did that person remedy? Nope, but they were nice and they're a minority, so I guess that works.
And then we were also had run into another someone who, once we had told him what we were talking about tonight, along with cancel culture, instantly gave us each a fist bump on that topic. Like,
yep, with a big smile.
With a big smile, they were really appreciating the fact that thank you for covering this topic.
Yeah.
And so, to wrap it all up, Unwoke Nation, it is absolutely, without a doubt, 100% time to cancel culture.
Absolutely. Yeah.
There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. If we're going to hold people accountable, let's hold them accountable and call it accountability. That's what it was like for me when I was a kid. So, cancel culture, you're officially canceled.
Yes, that's the way it's like. It's got to go. It doesn't make any sense where to be having this. People just being overly sensitive, sitting online trying to figure out, what's the new thing where they can be sensitive about, or, when they find something that they don't like, or all of a sudden you got this brand new word that comes up to try to, and Tim, we've been seeing this, for months on end, where it's like, they're always trying to, these people out here who try to call themselves the cancel culture, they're always trying to come up with some new word to talk about this particular thing that fits their narrative and that thing that fits their narrative. And it's like, this has got to stop. You know what? It's like, put your big boy pants on. I'm sorry. There's people out there who are going to say things that you're not going to like. Okay. That's perfectly fine to wear. So like that, you can't sit there and have Susie say to Timmy, hey, I don't like your shoes. And he gets to go sit over in some safe space.
Exactly.
I'm sorry. That happens in life. There are people out there who aren't going to like you. You need to learn how to deal with it.
Exactly.
So that's how it is, guys. But hey, guys, again, we would love to hear what you think about this whole cancel culture thing. Do you feel where that cancel culture needs to be canceled? Do you or don't you? Tell us definitely the reason why. Definitely reach out to us on feedback@unwokeshow.com. Again, feedback@unwokeshow.com, guys. Definitely, we appreciate you guys being on the show. Definitely like, follow, comment, and definitely tell more people about the show. So we definitely want to hear from them. And like you said before, help us, guys, go out there, go nationwide in all 50 states. And also we could be able to touch more people, get you out there talking, and definitely, make sure we can spread the Unwoke Nation aware. So, and being able to, pretty much like we just said, where, just put your big boy pants on, or, and deal with it.
Exactly. All right, Unwoke Nation, thank you so much, and we will talk to you guys next week.
All right, see you then, guys. Take care.